Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to Tuesday Talk. I'm your host, Bridget Mabanda, and in today's we are discussing on the ongoing demolitions in Zimbabwe and Harare at large. And in studio, I'm joined by Honorable Darlington Chigumbu, Budiro South constituency legislator. Mr. Chigumbu, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
We have been hearing about demolitions, and I've invited you to share more information concerning this issue as a legislator, from the legislator's view. So my first question is, what's your initial reaction to these ongoing demolitions as a legislator?
Well, it's so disheartening to any rational human being, witnessing a beautiful house being demolished and the owner of that particular house, being unable to save that particular property. It's so disheartening and so traumatic. It has also caused a lot of challenges, in communities, in the sense that it is, exacerbating the challenges that are being faced by the citizens in terms of housing. Mm-hmm. So we have got a house that would have been built and it is demolished. Where is that person going to stay? Mm-hmm. Number two, it has also, caused a lot of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Now we are hearing that around 5,000 houses need to be demolished. Mm-hmm. So it has caused a lot of uncertainty among the citizens, and also it has impoverished a lot of families. Imagine, what it takes for someone to build a house, the sacrifice and the savings, and you wake up the following morning, the house is raised. It's something else.
Okay. Can you provide context on the council's rationale behind these demolitions? Can we blame the council, or can we blame these land barons, or those people that have bought land without proper papers or without legal papers, to say this is a legal stand? Who can we blame them?
Yeah, this is a very delicate issue. Okay. To me, it's a sort of a tri-faceted issue, in the sense that it is involving the authorities. Okay. It is also involving the land barons. Okay. It is involving those home seekers who then buy land from those land barons. Okay. So it's neither here nor there for me to say the council has got good intention or bad intentions, because on the other hand, we need to balance the need to follow the rule of law when acquiring and building on particular pieces of land. On the other hand, there's a humanitarian crisis then that ensues after people would have bought land on illegal pieces of land, and then build their houses. They are already staying there. Mm-hmm. So it's a dilemma on its own. But what I would say is, as a legislator, I would advocate for people to allocate themselves land outside the laws, because what has happened is we have seen important spaces, community spaces rather, being invaded. For instance, in my constituency in Budiro South, I think if you have seen just few months ago, I had to go on social media to raise an alarm, because land barons came and invaded the only sporting facility that we are left with in the constituents. And this is a place where all the kids are supposed to come and engage in different sporting activities, but someone is coming, invading that space, parceling out stands. There are some who have invaded school sites. You go to Budiro South, go to Budiro number 5 primary school, a class that's supposed to have 30 children, it is having 60-something children. Why? We no longer have space to build schools. So there's need for us to balance. So I wouldn't say there's no need for us to monitor and control the issue of land invasion. But on the other hand, there is a challenge that then arise from allowing people to build on those pieces of land. Okay. They put up their foundations, they finish to build the entire house, they come in and start to stay on that particular place, and the authorities are folding their hands. So it becomes a delicate issue when people are now staying on that particular piece of land.
Okay. I understand that your people, I can say your people from your constituency, they would come to you and say, can you assist us? Can you help us? We don't know about this law. We don't know about this A, B, C, and D. Are they understanding what a land baron is, or who is a land baron? Or they think a land baron is something else, not a person they would expect something from? Or are they understanding what is a land baron, or who is a land baron?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because I feel this is a dilemma that the leadership and the authorities have failed to solve.
Okay.
Because just try to imagine a desperate home seeker
Okay.
who doesn't understand about how a property is acquired.
Okay.
The person cannot even afford to engage a lawyer, and the authorities are leaving these people vulnerable to these land barons. Why? I've said, these land barons are so cunning, very cunning, because what they do is they just don't sell you air.
Okay.
They will convince you, we have got the papers. Look, and those papers, some of them would have been stamped by the council and by the ministry.
Okay.
So they'll tell you, no, we've got these papers, and no, everything is in order. We are just waiting for a last paper so we can start to build and stuff. Okay. So they are saying this to a person who doesn't understand how the process works. That's where the government must chip in. The government must protect the citizens. So my issue now is this land barons issue and the demolitions is something that is happened maybe just a few days. It's something that it's a problem that we have had for many years. Why are the authorities failing to find a solution to protect that vulnerable citizen from these land barons? Why? Because it's difficult. These guys, they are so cunning. It's a syndicate, actually. It is also involving officials. Sometimes what they would do is they would say, if you want to confirm, go to council office number 23. You get there, they will explain to you that this is legit. But in office number 23 at the council, there is their person in there. You get what I'm trying to say? Yes. So it's a very, very, well-knit syndicate. So the government must intervene to protect the home seekers. So I feel little has been done to solve this problem in a way that would also help even a layman in the streets to be able to determine to say, no, I can't buy this land because it's not legit. Or I can't buy this piece of land from this particular person because the person is a well-known land baron.
You mentioned about the so-called syndicates, and I can confirm that yesterday when I was conducting some interviews concerning this ongoing situation of demolitions, a lady from Eastview mentioned that they come with papers which looks very similar from those ones that we acquire from council, and you'll be convinced that, yes, I have acquired a legal property, I have acquired a legal land. So do you know how many people have been affected in your constituents or in nearby areas, or is there any potential of demolitions in your area because they've announced that more than 5,000 houses are going to be erased?
Yeah, definitely. I think if they are to, stick to what they said, Budro will be affected, because Budro South is one of the areas which has been most hit by these land barons. There are a lot of pieces of land which were invaded by land barons, which I know people built their houses on, and nothing was legalized. So definitely, if they are to continue with their plan, the Budro South residents will also be affected. But let me hasten to say this. There's this ancient wisdom which I like, which says a human being naturally, we are designed to will to something. To such an extent that the desire to will to something, it's so insatiable that you'd rather will to nothing than not to will at all. So when we desire to build houses, so you have citizens who just want to be doing something, so they end up overlooking a lot of critical steps that needs to be followed when you are acquiring a land and also building on it. Then what then needs to happen? My question that I asked this other time was, we have digitalized. Why can't we create a platform? Why can't council create a platform where they can say they are inputting all the pieces of land that have got disputes? They are also inputting all the land barons that are known, because these land barons, they are the same. The people who are causing havoc in Chitungwiz are the same people who are causing havoc in Budero South and in any other area that you can think of that has been invaded. Why can they do that? So that when I want to buy a piece of land, I will then go on that platform and just Google. I want to buy the stands that are being sold in Budero South. I go on that platform, I search, and then I get to know, no, there's no space, there's no land that's being sold in Budero South. So why are they not helping people? Because people always will to build houses. It's a challenge because they need to address that need.
Oh, you mentioned about these platforms which shows legal lanes and those that are not legal. But I can say the council have been doing that. Maybe they are not promoting it enough. I remember the Korobra farm. They always say, don't build houses on Korobra farm. It's a wetland and it's not meant for houses. It's meant for other activities there. But if you can go today in Korobra, at Korobra farm, people are building, are busy. Is that not ignorance from your citizens, from the people you represent as a legislator?
So like I said, yes, there's also an element of ignorance. That's why if you listen to the Speaker of the Parliament, when I raised this issue in Parliament, he also said, is us as the legislators, we have got a role to educate the people that you are representing. But, you know, the role of council is not just to say things. The role of council is also to what? To enforce. You get where I'm coming from? So my question now would be, why would then council cast a blind eye while these people are building, from putting up a foundation, building, and coming to stay on that particular structure? Why are they not taking action early enough to prevent losses and to prevent unnecessary humanitarian challenges that would then arise from demolishing those houses? So my issue is now, the role of council is not just to say things, it is also to enforce. I have a challenge with council on the point at which they would want to intervene. Why can't they intervene early enough? I think it will help us deal with challenges that comes, especially with demolishing a property where people are now staying at.
Okay. And what role do you think corruption is playing concerning these land barons?
I think corruption has caused us a lot of challenge. I think the reason why you are having all these challenges is because of corruption. Why am I saying so? I don't want to to mention names, but like I've had challenges in my constituents to protect a piece of land which you want to put up a sporting facility. You know, there are so many dockets that were opened, but no action has been taken. The docket is there. There's another time when these people were actually building, we went with the police to report. And you know what happened? They were called and they said, I know the member of parliament came here and he reported, so can you please leave the place? You see what's happening? And the challenge now is the corruption is involving the officials, those who are supposed to be protecting the residents. If you want to see that what I'm saying is the truth, we've got Justice Uchena's report. Justice Uchena's report, if you read the summary of that report, that's the only thing that has been published. If you read the summary of that report, it says, according to their findings, the people who are involved in these land scams, they are the politicians who would use land for their political benefit. So they would use land as a campaigning tool during the election time, and they just tell people to go and sit or stay at a particular place. Why? Because they would want those people to vote for them. The reason why I think the report here has not been published is because it is implicating the people who are supposed to be protecting the citizens from these disheartening happenings and traumatic happenings that we are now witnessing. So I feel corruption has played a big role. And no, come to think of it, why up to this day are we failing to deal with this problem? It's because there are people in the system, there are people, there are officials who are benefiting from this whole chaos. If government is serious about dealing with this problem, it's not going to take them even a month to deal with this problem. But there is no that political will. Why? Because the people who are supposed to action are the people who are benefiting from this whole chaos.
So do you think that is the government's fault, or it's a multi-stakeholder issue which requires the council, the government, and relevant stakeholders to come up to sit down together and come up with solutions?
I wouldn't entirely blame the government, because it's like I said, it's a trifaceted challenge that you are faced with. But I would implicate the government in the sense that whatever solution that needs to be done, it has to start from the government. So I think what the government is not doing is to initiate solutions, because when the government initiates, then obviously other stakeholders who come in and then what? Help the government to solve the problem. But there's no initiation that has been done that's meaningful or relevant to deal with this challenge. So I wouldn't say it's just an issue that you can blame on the government. But I feel the government has got a bigger role to play to deal with this issue, and it has not been playing that its roles.
Okay. So you mentioned about educating the citizens on the processes they should follow when acquiring land or something. There are laws that are there from rural areas to urban areas, and these demolitions are not only happening in Harare. Remember the Chirezi issue, and people were not understanding who has the right to parcel out communal land, and they didn't understand that the communal land belongs to who. And in rural areas, we have those sabuk deals. I have been given this piece of land with sabuk ninge and this and this and this. But later on, maybe after 20 years, after 30 years, then someone comes and say, you are owning illegal land. Do people really know who has the right to parcel out land in different areas, like in urban areas, in rural areas, or wherever?
I think people are a bit ignorant on that.
Okay.
And what I can say is, I think recently we had a motion on land tenure, where we wanted to address this issue, because land ownership is something that has not been really addressed, especially in our communal areas. You find out that the colonial system is one which has been perpetuated in terms of land tenure or land ownership, especially in the rural areas, and little has been done. My thinking is there is sometimes when people want to carry out their corrupt activities, they would thrive on the ignorance of the people that they are leading. I feel we have not done enough, maybe it's the legislators. The government has not done enough, even other authorities like rural district councils, to educate the people. Why? I feel it's because people have seen that if we are to empower people with knowledge, then there's going to be a lot of understanding. So I feel that particular area has not been addressed to educate the people in terms of how this issue of land tenure and land ownership works, and what processes would you need to engage in order for you to then end up saying I own something. Let me also say, this is a delicate issue. The issue of ownership or the issue of title is a red line that we cannot violate. I think you've seen this issue of this former minister's house, which was sold without his consent and stuff. We cannot play propaganda with this issue. We should not violate this issue of a title. It's very, very sacrosanct. Because if the moment we violate this issue, it affects many other issues that rely on this particular issue. So I feel there's need for us to do more. There's need for us, maybe even if there's a need for us to relook at our laws and maybe revamp them so that they address the current challenge that we are faced with. I think that would be the best.
Okay, so how can citizens hold their government accountable for these actions and advocate for better urban planning?
The best way that citizens can hold the government accountable is maybe through legal means. Number one. Number two is also maybe through pressure groups like the residents associations, and also through dialogue. It's also important. The government needs to also understand what's happening in the grassroots, and also the government needs to understand what people are going through, and also through us, the legislators, we need to be in constant communication, discussions with the people that we are representing, so that when you get to parliament, when we raise these issues, we are raising them within the desires of the people that we are representing. I think those are options that we, like the citizens, have, and also it is also upon the government to appreciate its role, that it has been chosen by the people to represent the people, and it must cater for the needs and the wishes of the people that it is representing and leading.
Okay. So looking forward, what is the international community's response to these demolitions, and should we expect intervention from the international community?
Yeah, like I said, this is a delicate situation because you are dealing with people, like if you look at our laws, they allow for the demolitions.
Yes.
Why? Because you cannot allow someone to build under, electricity cables or to build on top of sewer. But it becomes, like I said, it becomes a humanitarian issue in the sense that you can't just then demolish. I always say pain has got no context.
Okay.
If you steal today and people start to beat you, you will feel the pain. Doesn't matter the circumstances. Yeah. This is what happens with pain. So whether I would have built house on a land that I would have acquired illegally, if you demolish that house, it becomes a humanitarian issue. So I don't think we need to rush to demolish. Let us first remove that person, find him a piece of land. And if you look at our SDG number 11, it speaks about, offering affordable houses for the citizens, especially us as a developing country. So I think there is now need for these people to be taken care of. And I feel maybe the international community will chip in. It could be in form of our, Zimbabweans who are in diaspora and some other, agencies to help these people because, they are just having their houses being demolished and they are not being told where you go after your house would have been demolished. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Darlington, for coming to this session of demolitions. And to our viewers, thank you for listening to what we have been discussing. And we are looking forward to see you, Bridget Mabanda.